Hello, and welcome to the Homeopathy Simplified podcast. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to take a remedy. And first, I was going to just share a little bit about myself. This is me with my dog, Lucia. And I've said this before, but it's kind of my intro to myself. And that I tell everyone I first discovered homeopathy through my father in the 1960s. His name was John Damonte. And he was one of the key teachers in homeopathy's resurgence at the time in the 60s and 70s. And I was really fortunate to study homeopathy through his students, and I really do feel a strong connection to his career. I also became a Bowen therapist and developed a practice focusing on chronic pain and disease. And now, after 27 years, I've come full circle and I want to share my knowledge. And I've made a purpose of teaching a course that is the one I wished I'd had in the very beginning of my career. A course created to make the complex simple and shine a path through a forest of ideas and misconceptions about homeopathy. So I hope you enjoyed these podcasts. Do give me feedback, and that'd be great. So this is episode 5, and it's from the kitchen table to the medical professional, information that you can use. And in this episode, I will give you some rationale about how to take a homeopathic remedy. If you've enjoyed the podcast, then please consider following the link in the notes to receive a free guide to 22 back remedies. Learn from the guide how to reliably select effective remedies for common conditions like back spasm, bulging discs, and sciatica. As a Bowen therapist that uses homeopathy, I can say that homeopathy has helped my work enormously. So use the 22 back remedies guide to support your patients between visits and see how well they respond overall to both the remedy and any other treatment you use. So now let's look at dose. The meaning of dose in the dictionary is the measured quantity of a therapeutic agent be taken at one time. And for most people, we learn to dose the homeopathic remedy from the instructions on the label. And in Canada and most parts of the world, the ascribed dose on the label is often at odds with the trained homeopath, or what a trained homeopath would recommend. And in this episode, we're going to look at why. So here's a photo of a Boiron homeopathic remedy that I just grabbed out of a box, and you'll see that it says 5 granules 3 times a day, or as directed by a physician. So we're going to, first of all, understand the logic of that, if there is any. And to explain this, I would say first why a homeopathic remedy is not like a drug. So firstly, a remedy is a highly diluted substance chosen for its affinity to the illness you are treating. So the affinity is a natural phenomenon where the substance can produce the illness symptoms in the person who is taking it. It is that dose of a medicine capable of producing the problem that is the marvel of a homeopathic remedy. The person with these symptoms is so sensitive to the medicine because it is so similar to the problem they already have. So then thirdly, in their sensitivity and therefore the reaction they have to more of the same problem, it motivates in them a stronger healing to the actual disease or injury that they have. So that's the fourth, is the reaction. It's not a drug that forces your body to behave a certain way because of the elements within it. It is so dilute that it can only be effective if there is a reaction to it. So it's very interesting. This is a natural phenomenon that homeopaths have taken advantage of. So if the bottle said to take 5 globules or 5 globules, 5 pellets 3 times a day, why not just take 1 if it's such a highly diluted substance? And that actually is a normal approach to dosing of a remedy by a trained homeopath. And why is that? It's because we need to measure the effect. So for example, if you had a headache and reached for an analgesic like ibuprofen or aspirin, and you took it, and in 15 minutes after taking it, the headache was better, would you take the painkiller again? Likely not. And why? Because that's the logic. We usually don't take drugs preventatively if they treat our symptoms when needed. We take them when needed. And it's the exact same with a remedy. So the logic of taking a remedy is see if it helps. If it helps and then you need to repeat it again, just like the aspirin for the headache, you would repeat it again. So now a very important question that homeopaths probably don't like talking about that much, and we would question, and as a patient, is it safe to take a remedy too often? So only if it has no effect on us. That means that it's just a sugar ball. It's got no effect on us whatsoever. We have no sensitivity to it, and we're not reacting to it, probably because it's not a match. In other words, it doesn't produce the problem we already have. It doesn't match our symptoms. However, if we are sensitive to the medicine, we might also be aggravated by the remedy if we take too much of it, and especially if we keep taking it. So it isn't safe. So here's an example. I had a case of a patient whose acupuncturist had given them Ignatia Amara 1M to take 3 times daily. In fact, she came in with 3 bottles of it. She came to me for treatment for this very spasmed right shoulder subscapular strain that she had. You know, that knot of pain that you have under your shoulder blade. Now, it went away as soon as she stopped taking the Ignatia Amara. And Ignatia Amara is a good remedy for that problem, a right-sided muscle spasm in the shoulder area. That's the reason she had the problem persisting. It probably is the reason it came up in the first place, was because of the remedy. So was it safe for her? No. The moment she stopped, the problem went away. So it does raise a lot of questions. Now, I wanted to talk about dose and how to take a remedy, and I've written here with clarity. So usually a remedy is bought in a granule format, so meaning a sugar ball. The sugar ball is usually made of sucrose, although you can get glucose as well if you are lactose intolerant. So this is milk sugar. The sugar granule is actually the carrier for the medicine. The medicine is a liquid that impregnates into the sugar. So they soak the sugar with the liquid medicine. The medicines will have what is called a potency, which is a strength. And in many ways, this is not as important as the chosen remedy. So if you're looking for a remedy that someone prescribes you, like an Arnica 30C, but the shop only has a 6C, well, get the 6C. It's more important to have the Arnica than it is to have the right potency or dose. And all homeopathic remedies are generally safe, even for newborns and the very, very weak, because they are highly diluted. And I'm only looking for, when I give a remedy, is the response. I'm not telling a patient to take it day after day. So now I'm going to tell you how to safely take a remedy, following some very simple rules. So if you're only listening to this podcast, it would be good for you to have access to the YouTube channel too. So you can find that through Jonathan DeMonte on YouTube. So first, take only 1 or 2 granules at a time. Ignore the instructions on the packaging. Dissolve the granule in your mouth a few minutes away from eating or drinking, because you want to get a clear effect from the medicine. In an acute situation like a bad cough or a high fever, to test the effectiveness of a remedy, I sometimes suggest taking 3 doses about an hour apart to really know if the remedy is affecting that acute illness. Because in an acute, you want to change quickly if the remedy is not working. Or you want to know from the effect of the remedy how to repeat it. So part 4 is about repeating. don't repeat without evaluating the effectiveness of the remedy that you've just taken. If you're clear it helped you and your symptoms that it helped return, it's safe to repeat, just like the aspirin for the headache. So then fifth, I've written good responses after a remedy can include a slight aggravation of the symptom you're treating, lasting no more than an hour, sleeping, and of course the symptoms improving. Bad responses after a remedy can include an aggravation of the symptoms you're trying to treat lasting longer than an hour, a nervous system agitation, a higher fever, spiking fever, and or delirium, meaning the fever is much worse. A worsening of your symptoms, such as developing a cough, could be a sign that you're trying to treat a head cold, and maybe the sinuses do get better, but then you get a cough. That's not a good direction of your symptoms to move in. So if concerned at any point, stop the remedy and seek the advice, or choose a new remedy based on clear or new symptoms. And then finally, what about the strength of a remedy to take? So mostly what's available in pharmacies and health food stores that carry remedies are the numbers 30 or 200. These tend to be the most commonly used. And if you ever have a situation where a remedy was working and you could not find a different strength of it, you could add a granule to half a glass of water, stir the water like milk into a cup of tea, and then take a teaspoon of the water. And then you've sort of changed the frequency of the remedy. It's like any drug. You get used to it after a certain time. And so sometimes we add a remedy to soften its effect or just have a stronger effect. So same thing, if that works, just repeat in the same manner. So that's a little bit of information for you about the taking of a remedy. So hope you enjoyed that. Please leave an updated comment or anything like that, and I look forward to speaking to you sometime. Take care.